And I feel those of us who have been on the Health Committee and have looked at these documents at length and considered it, yesterday, and will consider it again today, have had the time that this incredibly complex agreement requires. And I do hope that we have a little bit more time, because one of the things I really, really want to do is talk to a legal or governance expert from St Vincent's and ask them, myself, and ask them, why would they not consider giving the land to the state? Because I have to say, considering the way other sites in the state work, I'm not sure I accept the current explanation. And I have many other questions around this deal. I would have liked more time to consider the business case and why it has been returned for review. I would have liked more time to think about why it had come to Cabinet when it hadn't, the business case hadn't been signed off, because this is a huge project. Why we have managed to get to that 1 billion figure, as we talked about yesterday, when, I'm sorry, the construction costs just do not indicate that it would cost $1 billion. Why we have an empty hospital, Block 1 in Ellen Park, sitting empty for 10 years, that NMH agreed in 2012 was suitable for their needs. Why is that empty and sitting there? And what does this hospital mean for Sláintecare contracts? I would have liked time to consider all of that. But I don't think we have time for that today. And I do think that we all want the maternity hospital built, and I think we all want to proceed. No one more than me, who has small children myself. And I was very glad to hear the Minister talk about the dark history that we have in this country on women's health, and recognise that. And I think if we're going to recognise that, we have to address the lack of faith there, and not dismiss it and not call it a red herring. Actually recognise it. And I have suggestions about how we could recognise it, so that extra time would be helpful. But also to release all legal documents related to the share transfer. To take up the IFPA's suggestion of encouraging the NMH to have a professorship of abortion care, because our maternity hospital must be a centre of excellence. It's not just that they should allow abortion. It's not just that they should allow sterilisation. It must be a centre of excellence for that care. And finally, as Deputy Shortall has alluded to, or has spoken about at length, in fact, the issue of clinically appropriate. We should either remove it, clarify it, or add to the term in the documents, or as an addendum or a memorandum of understanding. There is a lack of faith here. There is a lack of trust from the public to Irish institutions. We can solve that. We can solve that in a number of hours, in a number of days. It's worth doing that. I would point out that many of the parties in this chamber were finding themselves massively out of step in 2018. Not just those in government, also those in the opposition, were out of step with the public mood in 2018 when it came to abortion. Let's not go there again, and let's not contextualise this debate as government versus opposition, because I don't think it is that. Yesterday we talked about, let's listen to doctors, and I said no, that's not what I walk the streets for. I walk the streets to listen to women. The women of this country care about this, and my voters care about this, and I suspect, both ministers, their voters, the people who are actually giving them their votes, do care. So make no mistake that I do not want to see this government and the institutions of this state continue in what we've done in the past, which is assume that we know better when we actually don't, and we should listen and we should clarify before we sign off. The people involved in this discussion are not just the Minister here today, and thank you for your time. It's also the 3 leaders of the coalition parties. It's also the Master of NMH. And if we are truly listening to women, I would implore that those 5 men act.